ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. Today we'll hear from Roderick Mosley about Tebow, 90-weight gravy, a heavenly cast, and a lot more. Help me welcome Roderick to the program. Well, hey, Roderick, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Sam, and you?
I'm doing well. I just, first of all, just want to thank you for coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm so excited to talk to you and learn a little bit more about you and kind of your lines of hounds, what you're into, what the hunting's like where you are, and just kind of go through and learn more about you. So I'm super excited today. But
yeah, me too.
But before we get started, could you introduce us to yourself? Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe how you got into rabbit hunting?
Well, my name is Roderick Mosley. I'm from a small town in northeast Arkansas called Colt. The nearest large town is probably Forest City. It's in the middle of nowhere on Interstate 40, in between Little Rock and Memphis. I guess I come from a family of houndsmen. My grandfather used to raise coon hounds back in the day, and he was real big into that. My uncles were responsible for taking care of the dogs and all of that. My mom got married, and then I came along, and that's how my father got into running rabbit dogs. And we all kind of migrated away from the coon hounds back then. And so I grew up hunting with family there in Arkansas until I graduated from high school, and then I joined the Army, and I would come home every Christmas. So the big thing for my family was coming home for every Christmas because my grandmother, my big mama, she always wanted us to come home. And my uncles that lived in Michigan had beagles, so they would bring the dogs all the way down to Arkansas, and we would hunt for a whole week of Christmas. Every chance we got a chance to do that, and then it would be over, and I would go back to my military job and everything, doing what I was doing wherever I was doing that at all over the world. And so over time, it kind of faded, and I got out of rabbit hunting so much, and I became a big bow hunter. And then after I got pretty accomplished at that, I killed a couple great bucks. One was a Pope and Young record book buck. He grossed 157, netted 149 or 148 and 8. So after that, I met a guy named Raymond Kendrick, and through him I met an older gentleman named Mr. Smith. We called him Smitty, and he had a couple rabbit dogs, and Raymond had one. And so I kind of got back into rabbit hunting with them a little bit, and then I retired from the Army after 25 years and 7 months, and I decided then, I'm going to get into my own dogs here probably. Mm-hmm. Well, my baby brother decided he wanted some rabbit dogs, and I talked to Raymond and Mr. Smith, and I got a puppy from them, and then I found a lady out in the country that had a couple puppies that she was selling for like $100, just great dogs. Mm-hmm. And so I got those puppies for my brother, and just like most baby brothers, he didn't do nothing with them. My daddy trained them. So here we are, a couple years later after he got those dogs, and my brother would come home and hunt them, and he'd drop them back off at daddy's house and go on about his business. And so my father was the one taking the dogs, training them, raising them, everything. And I come home a couple times hunting with him, and then I got into a couple other. Well, as a matter of fact, the two puppies that I got, I ended up inheriting their mothers because they were old, slow dogs, and the people just wanted to have a good home. Mm-hmm. And I said I wasn't, competition hunting or nothing. I just wanted to have a dog I could go shoot some rabbits behind on my own.
Sure.
So I took them in and kept them until they passed away and everything. But in the middle of that, my father got cancer. Uh-huh. And he, it was pretty bad. And so he called me and he said, and we talked about all of it, and he said, come get your dogs. And I said, Daddy, those are Marco's dogs. He said, boy, these your dogs, come get them. So I came and got the dogs, and then it was kind of crazy because I took them to the vet up here, and then I found out they had heartworms.
Oh, no.
Both of them. And I was going through the process of trying to cure them of the heartworms, but then one of them came down with a real bad tick-borne disease, and I couldn't, by the time I got home one Friday, and he was looking really bad, and by the time I could get him to the vet at Monday at noon, it was too late, and he died at 4 o'clock that evening.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and, but the female, so I kept her in my house for 6 months, treating her and everything, taking her back and forth to the vet, keeping her in the kennel, and I cured the worms and everything. And so she was the main one that I had that came from Mrs. Smith and Raymond. And I thought the world of her, you know. Mm-hmm. So I ran into, I know there's a guy here, Donnie Baker, that used to be really big into big hunting, and he's coming back now. And I ran into his wife, Angela, because I knew Donnie from bow hunting and all that and everything, and I knew Angela too. But I ran into her one day, and she invited me to come out to the 2014 World Championship here in Missouri. But at the time, I didn't have anything that could compete or nothing, so I didn't go. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens when they had that competition, I just happened to be out at Cracker Barrel with the family, and then I saw a dog trailer full of dogs, beagles. And I went inside there, and I saw this guy with a hat on. I went up to him, introduced myself, and I talked to him, told him I was trying to get some competition grade beagles. You know, and he gave me his telephone number and everything, and he said, well, just call me, or I'll call you and let you know when I'm going to be breeding a litter or whatever. And that guy turned out to be Jason Mercer. Mm. Right? And I know he had to think I was crazy at the time and everything. So we went on another couple years, a year or so, and I called him, and he said, well, I ain't got nothing now. And then we just kept on, and then the next time I seen him, it was at a field trial. And we got to know each other. We hunted a lot together and all that after that. But that point when I went to a field trial is where that was in January of 2017.
Okay.
And that's when I met Donnie Hillis, and he had a dog named Tebow. And he told me all about this dog and how he come from Ohio, from Miss Vicky Bassett, and you know, and how she had won the world championship 2 times. I don't know nothing about this stuff. So I just took his word for it. Okay, you got a good dog. So I didn't pay it no mind, really. Everybody's got a good dog, right? And, you know, and so, and then the next time I went to a hunt, it just happened to be the 2017 Eliminator West. And that's when I really got to see Tebow.
Okay.
And that's my whole story, how I got into dogs.
Wow, that's a good story. I mean, that's a terrific story. So could you tell us a little bit about Tebow? So you ended up getting Tebow, is that correct?
Yes, I did. So I got to tell you this story. This is the thing that blew my mind on this dog. I wouldn't have never cared about this dog if it not been for that Eliminator West. Mm-hmm. So I drew a cast, my very first cast in a big hunt ever with my Shiba dog. And if you've been around a long time, these names will sound familiar. So I drew Chaston Elliott with his Hammer dog, and Scott Clark with the Mater dog from up north of Kansas City, and Donnie Hillis with Tebow. Mm-hmm. And those 3 dogs are 3 of the best dogs that were in this region back then. And that's when I figured out I was out my class when my dog was 200 yards behind them. And Tebow won the hunt. Mm-hmm. I watched him come up to it because they were stuck in a woven wire fence, and I watched him come back, jump that woven wire fence, and just keep smoking. And he just run that rabbit, and I was just impressed that day. So I got to know Donnie really well because I kept going to hunts with my dog, trying to champion her. Mm-hmm. And then Donnie was leading the All-Star race back then. And I would end up going to – that's how I learned how to judge. I would end up going to judge Donnie because a lot of times he'd be the only dog back then. Mm-hmm. In the grands that was running the dog, Mm-hmm. So that's how I got to know Tebow, watching him, and the things that I got to see then were amazing. But because I'd never seen a dog do that and just hunting by himself, he didn't need nobody.
Right.
And so later on, I believe it was at Nationals, Donnie sent him with somebody to Nationals. He had something stuck in his eye. They never got it cleaned out. And then his eye got infected and his retina separated. And by the time he got him back, the only thing they could do is take his eye out.
Oh.
So, and then after that, Mr. Hillis kind of lost his flame for it. And he said, I'm going back to coon hounds. And he asked me he said, would you like to own Tebow? And I told him, I said, man, I can't afford Tebow. Because I knew what the going price was of a grand champion dog like him at that point in time. I was like, I can't afford it. He said, man, I'll tell you what. He said, I don't want anybody else to have him but you because you generally, like him and care for your dogs. I see how you take care of your dog because my dog, she would ride in the front seat with me to field trials. Mm-hmm. So, he liked all of that and everything. And he made me a deal I couldn't turn down. And I got Tebow and 3 other dogs. And one of them was a grand too, and he's an awesome dog too. He's Clifty Creek Crank, Clifty Creek Brook Hollow Crank is what his name was. And then the other 2, one of them got lost, and then a friend of mine still has one of the others. But that's how I got to know Tebow and ended up with him.
Now, how long did you have Tebow?
That was in 2017 and. July, I think, when I bought him and picked him up, and when I picked him up, I picked up him and the mother of the litter they had just had, and 7 puppies, and that just, man, I didn't know, I got in way over my head, so
easy to do.
So, yeah, it was. So, but it was great having him. So I had him from then until this past February. Mm-hmm. So I had him 8 years, almost. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, he was an amazing dog. To see the things that he could do, and knowing he only had one eye, there was so many times that he'd be right on top of the rabbit and couldn't see it because it was on his blind side.
Wow.
And then his nose would lead him, and he'd figure it out though. But. He was an incredible dog, and I had some notable hunts with some guys, and they were like, man, that dog is something else.
Would you say he's the best dog you've ever owned?
He is definitely the best dog I've ever owned. And I think in the right situations, I've seen some really good dogs, but I didn't get it to see him face most of them that except the chief dog, world champion, and Kane. He's hunted against both of them, but the one time I think I messed him up with Chief, and then with the time he hunted with Kane, he had just hunted his heart out the day before, and he blew away the competition. Scored 3 lines. They didn't even have a clue, and it was hot that evening. We was in Ohio at Nationals, but so the next day. He ran hard, and then he quit on me, and he was 9 years old at the time. Mm-hmm. And so I honestly thought that he was done, right? I said, okay, he's given up. He's scored. He won NHPA as a registered dog in like 9 months. When I finally figured out what I was doing, we won 7th place at the Eliminator West. Then the next year, we won the Eliminator West. And that same year, we got 7th place at the World Championships.
Nice.
Good
year.
And all of that was with him at 8 years old and one eye. You
What?
know,
Tell us a little.
so
Tell us a little about how
uh,
he. Tell us a little about how he hunted. What made him such a good competition dog?
uh, he just had to drive.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got him, he'd fight you tooth and nail to be the first one out the box. He just had to drive. I
Mm-hmm.
remember, so that same year, I think it was 2021, when he was 9, and we had went to nationals, and he had quit on me. But what had happened when he quit at nationals,
Mm-hmm.
I found out later that he had another flare-up of ehrlichiosis, which is a tick-borne disease. And each time that he had that, I thought he was just getting old. But it was never that. It was always the disease that was slowing him down. So the thing that I thought that gave him the drive was he just had incredible hunt. So I went to in 2021. I knew that if it got hot here, I would have a hard time with him in the heat. So at his age, so I didn't want to take him to a world qualifier in the summer. So I drove from Missouri to Maryland to their world qualifier with Alex Blitzer, J.R. Burke, and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I hunted up there with them, and I was in a hunt with him, and the judge, he took us to a really good spot. And the dogs were at like 2 minutes on the clock. They were in check, and the guy said, and they were probably made a big circle, probably 70, 80 yards away. And the guy looked at me and JR, and he said, man, we might as well catch them dogs and go and cut them loose because they're not going to make it back and get this check. Mm-hmm. I said, how much time we got left? He said, 53 seconds. I said, I know my dog. He'll be back, and he'll get that check. I'm not going to catch him. And I stood there, and at 2 minutes and 53 seconds on that clock with 7 seconds left to go, he came right around by us, picked up the line, scored the line, and got the check and kept smoking. Had a score 822 points, the highest score the whole weekend.
Wow. I love it. Love it. Well, as you traveled around, it sounds like you've been all over the country. What are some of the better hounds you've competed against? The ones that really caught your eye?
Well, I would say the first one I would have to talk about. She's no longer with us. She died early, and she was a dog. I think her name was Clifty Creek Hannah, owned by Mike Roy. Mm-hmm. And that dog was not super fast, but the most impressive dog I had ever seen. And I remember the first time I hunted with her, I think it was an eliminator. It might have been my first one when I owned Tebow. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. And when we drew him, I said, "Oh, we're gonna blow his doze off that little bitty dog." And she had us like 1,000 points to 250 or something after 45 minutes.
I love it. Humble pie.
So that's her, and then of course once I got into it a little bit more, I liked some of those first dogs that I saw in the beginning, the Mater dog, even the Hammer dog. But when I started going out east a little bit more, and I of course I saw the Chief dog and Kane, and I was impressed by them. And then Chuck Kearns and him and Jeff Davis, their dogs that were out of Trigger impressed me too, because they were always in the mix with T-Row when we go to one of those big hunts. And and I ended up trying to acquire one of the females out of that, and I did. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but those are great dogs. And then, of course, as of late, Kristen Bundy's Cooper, which is Bad Company, he's a great dog. I got a chance to see Fred go. Licky Bassett had a couple of dogs that I thought were great. Black Betty and Haley. Mm-hmm. They were great dogs. So I think about those are some of the ones that come to mind right now.
Well, I'm going to ask you to narrow it down for me. I mean, if you could put together a dream cast of 4 hounds, and these could be past or present dogs. These could be dogs living today or dogs that haven't been around for quite some time. But if you could put together 4 dogs that you'd personally like to just see go head to head, I mean, what would those 4 dogs be?
I would have to say that most of them are long gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they may be in heaven running against each other right now. So I would say Mike Roy's Clifty Creek Big John. Of course, my Tebow dog.
Mm-hmm.
The All Out Blitz, the original Blitz dog that was raised by, I drew a blank, Dick McVeigh.
Dick, yeah, of course, Dick McVeigh. Yep.
Dick McVeigh, that's right. And I'd have to say, man, that's a tough one. A dog I think I've read a lot about, and I've seen in pictures that was passed away a long time ago, and I just read a lot about, and Tebow favors so much, and is in his lineage so many times, and that would be Gray's Linesman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've heard about him.
Mm-hmm.
So so out of those 4 dogs running around in heaven, who's going to win this heavenly cast? Who's going to be the number 1?
I don't think nobody knows, and I don't think anybody would care. You got to see it.
I agree. Everybody's a winner.
See it. I don't think you care who won. I just think it would be a thrilling thing to see, and it wouldn't matter who won. I just love to see it. You know? If you
were getting a dog ready for a hunt, do you do anything special leading up to those hunts?
I got a friend of mine named Bob Morris, and I usually take the dog to Bob, and he runs him up for me because, I work most of the time, and I can't find enough time to get him in shape myself. And having running grounds is hard, too, because, I don't have the property or anything. I got to go to a conservation area, or I have to drive to a military installation or something like that, mm-hmm. and nothing is within 30 minutes of my house. Mm-hmm. So it's tough for me.
Well, speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up. So I meant to ask you this earlier. Could you tell us about the hunting conditions where you are? Now, you said you're in northeast Arkansas. Like, what's the...
Oh, no, that's where I'm from. I live in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Right. I live in Missouri, right near Fort Leonard Wood. Like I said, I'm a military retiree, so I live right here next to the base and still work on the base every day.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So
in your part of Missouri, then what's the hunting like there?
It varies a little bit. Usually you'll find rabbits in some really nasty thick briars. Mm-hmm. We have some serious terrain in some parts up here where I live at, right next to Mark Twain National Forest in Fort Leonard Wood. But if you go down south where we run a lot, it's a little bit more gently rolling, and they got some really thick, nasty briars there. Mm. So that's what it's usually like.
It must take a pretty tough...
You need a dog that ain't afraid to get some scratches, and I end up, mending ears mm-hmm. most of the time.
Do you find that a smaller dog does better there, or does the size matter a lot?
No, I have a dog that I love to death, and she is probably 11 inches tall at the shoulders, and I love her, and she can flat get it in some thick briars. But I'm going to tell you, she ain't no match for a big dog that's got heart and desire like Tebow. Mm-hmm. So that was the thing. I loved her to death, and I love to hunt with her. But if she can win a lot, but if you get in an open place, there's nothing you can do with her, But mm-hmm. If it's some thick briars, she can beat you. Mm-hmm. But I prefer a dog that has the heart, drive, and determination to go through whatever more than anything else.
Well, let's build the perfect dog for you. If you could just script it out, write it down exactly what you wanted with a dog that you could build that would be successful and that you would be happy with. What's that perfect dog going to look like, sound like, and hunt like?
I hope it would hunt like old Tebow, and I wish it sounded like him too, because he had the most beautiful sound. If you didn't know about it, you swear he was a female singing alto or something. It was a beautiful sound and just heart and drive. And unfortunately, I'd like it to be a good-looking dog because he was kind of ugly. So, I mean, but he came from some really old bloodlines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, you can see it and when you look back in his paperwork. It's just, I mean, it's old bloodlines, and I like having that original type stuff. But I like for him to be a little pretty, hunt hard, and have drive and determination. And handle would be great too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I've never had it. Well, I ain't gonna say.
What's pretty to you?
What's pretty?
Yeah, like what's a pretty dog to you? Do you like tricolors? Do you like blue ticks, black and tans? I mean, what would you want this dog to look like?
I don't really have a color flavor. I just think that the aesthetics of the way the head is shaped.
Mm-hmm.
I like a brown, red, white dog, and I like a tricolor dog, and I don't mind them having ticks. I even like a blue tick dog.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like for them to have a nice head, a longer body, and good medium length legs with curvature.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of dogs that got legs that are too straight
Mm-hmm.
looking to me, and I'm not crazy about that. But I like a dog that can stand and you can see that defined curvature in their legs and their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a good muzzle is great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about competition just a little bit. And it sounds like you've competed at the highest levels. And again, you've competed all over the country. If you could add or subtract or modify any existing rule, what would it be? Are there any rules out there that you would like to tinker with a little bit?
I've noticed lately that there's a lot of dogs now that don't really have what I consider to be an honest mouth, right? So they'll strike in on you and hem-haw around for about 30 seconds or a minute, whatever, until somebody else jumps a rabbit, and they get first strike.
Mm-hmm.
But the rabbit was never up and moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the dog that actually jumps the rabbit should get credit somehow. And I don't know how we fix that. But I know I've seen it so many times. A cold-nosed dog gets first strike, and if you put him in the places they got rabbits, you'll never beat them. I mean, I've seen it to where as soon as you cut them off the lead, they're barking. And I lose to them. And I don't think that's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if I had a rule, that would be something I would start a discussion about.
Well, that's a good one to think about. It really is. Is there anyone, when you go to these hunts, is there anyone you like to beat a little bit more than everybody else?
I would say I wouldn't say beat, but if I did beat him, it'd be okay. But I enjoyed hunting with Mike Roy most of the time. And I think that's because I knew that whatever was going to occur, we were going to discuss it and figure out how it happened, what had happened, and how it should be scored.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that, you know, there's a lot to be said when you hunt with somebody and they'll tell you, well, you know what, I'm not giving that to him because he didn't deserve to win it, you know? Because he didn't do this or the dog didn't do that. The dog didn't win it. It ain't my fault, you know? And that's the kind of person that I am. And I like other people that are just trying to see which dog is going to perform the best that day.
Gotcha.
So I ain't going to say beat him, but that'd be icing on the cake.
As you've traveled around, do you have a favorite club that you like to go to or a favorite part of the country that you like to hunt in?
Ooh, man, that's a really tough one right there. I like a lot of places. I like Ohio. I like Indiana, but I think I'd have to say one Worlds. I think it was 2017. We went to Indiana for the Worlds, and we hunted up there on this Amish farmland, and we ran rabbits like it was incredible. We stood there and watched 9 rabbits cross the road, and now one of them was the one the dogs were running. So I thought that was incredible, and I loved it. But the cornfields and all that, and they didn't have hills like Missouri. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, when you have that many rabbits, Roderick, can you have too many rabbits? I
guess you could.
You got rabbits flying all over the place.
Because, that day I lost that on a tiebreaker and a flip of the coin, I believe. And everybody said, "Man, you should have won it." I chased Tebow around in that cornfield because there was so many rabbits for 27 minutes before I caught him, and we still had over 45 minutes left to hunt, and he was just gassed by the time we got done. But so I guess you can't have too many rabbits because he looked the best, but there was so many rabbits I couldn't touch him.
Well, as you've been out there all over this country rabbit hunting, what's one of the craziest things you've ever seen? You do this long enough, something weird's going to happen at some point. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind as just being out of the ordinary?
No, I can't really think of anything that was really out of the ordinary. Can't really think of anything that was really crazy.
Or maybe just a good memory, something that when you think back over these years of hunting that just really is just a really fond memory, good time, big win or something that really stands out to you.
I would have to say that year at Nationals with Tebow, I think that was 2021, and we hunted that evening, and I had Joey Peterson on the cast, and we watched old Tebow put on a show like you couldn't believe. He come across a field that was almost 200 yards across, where they had cut in between the two briar patches, and he just brought that rabbit out and drove it all the way across there, and the other dogs had no clue, and then he was on his way back with that same rabbit, and he must have scored him 3 times and nobody else did.
Wow, I love it. Yeah, that's pretty dominating right there.
Yeah,
and the fact that
it was something.
And then I
seen him do that same year too here in Missouri one time, and I told those guys, I said, "Well, he come out that hole, but he didn't really bark," and they said, "No, he got that."
I don't know what.
And I think he scored 3 lines on them.
I just think what makes it even more memorable is probably having Joey Peterson on the cast too. That always makes for a good time. Very memorable cast.
Great.
Some of my most memorable casts involve Joey Peterson.
His dog scratched, and he had the guy take his dog to the truck so he could stay and watch.
Oh, outstanding. Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because this is a question I've been trying to ask people here lately, and it's just really interesting what people come up with. But if you needed help with a hound-related problem, and we all have them, from time to time, you need advice, and you could only call one person, who are you going to call?
Vicky Bassett.
Vicky Bassett. I hear you. Been doing that a long time. She's seen a lot. She's seen a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, she's forgotten more than I will ever know.
Yeah. If you're thinking about kind of this next generation coming into the sport and these youngsters showing up, if you could give them advice any advice for anyone really considering getting into rabbit hunting, what kind of advice would you give them?
I guess the first advice that you want to give anybody if we're considering getting a dog or getting into this, especially competition hunting, I would say get what you like. Mm-hmm. Don't get what somebody else likes. Don't get what somebody tells you. Figure out what you like and then go that direction. Because I go to casts all the time or hunts all the time and I'm on cast and I may not win the cast. But when the cast is over, I still feel good about myself. And I feel good about my dog because I like what my dog did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of dog I like. One that hunts the way I want them to hunt. Not what somebody else deems is important. Because I got a couple dogs that I love to this death, and they'll probably never go to another field trial again. But if I'm going to shoot a rabbit, they getting in the truck.
I love it. That is some really, really good advice. Like what you're hunting. It sounds kind of simple, but it is terrific advice. It really is.
Yeah.
I love it. What's one of the biggest?
I think that a lot of people don't even know what they like. I didn't know what I liked at first. You know, I knew I liked the dog that hunted hard and all that. And the reason I got into these field trialing dogs really is because I'm from Arkansas, and I go home and I swamp rabbit hunt a lot, and I need a dog that's going to be able to bring that rabbit around fast at a decent speed, because you can run a rabbit for 2 hours and never get a shot. You know, so I like a dog that's going to bring it around with some speed, but also be honest and dead on that track. You know, and that's what I like with even my little 11-inch dog. I mean, she will hunt as hard and as long as the big boys do. And she will not quit unless she get hurt. I have walked around, or one of the other fellas walked around with her in the back on the vest.
I love it.
I got a picture of that too.
What 11 inches should fit?
She only weighed 15 pounds, so it wasn't bad, you know.
Well, what's one of the biggest challenges facing the future for hunters?
Land, places to hunt, and opportunities to do so. I think that is the biggest challenge that we face going into the future, because more and more older people are passing away, and their land is going to their kids, and the kids are living in cities, and they don't want to own it. I got the same situation with my family's land back in Arkansas. Nobody really wants to deal with it or be there, you know? So I think that's the biggest challenge in having a place to hunt. And that's why, I do everything I can to hold on to it, because if I can't go nowhere else, I want to go right behind my mama's house and hunt, even if she's gone. But the good part is, you know, she's still here now, and that gives me an opportunity to go home.
As we wrap up, I do have a couple more questions. What is it about rabbit hunting that hooked you? I mean, why is this in your blood? Why do you love to do it so much? What keeps you going back time after time?
Competition started it. It was more me against everybody else, and seeing who could kill the most rabbits, especially my family, was always a big competition. My Uncle Cliff and I, we always have this discussion, who's the best rabbit hunter, you know, and still to this day, he's never beaten me, and he'll say I never beat him, but I did. So it's competition. That started it. And then for me, as I've gotten older and everything, I never knew how much fun rabbit hunting was until you didn't shoot the rabbit. I didn't know. I watched. I never didn't shoot the rabbit, so I always shot the rabbit. You know, and then once I started doing this for competition and training puppies and just wanting to see the dogs run and see what they do and everything, and I started seeing that rabbits are pretty intelligent.
Sure.
You know. And I started learning the other aspect of it, and watching the dogs work and seeing the incredible things that they can do. You know, so I think competition with everyone else started it. Competing with myself is where I'm ending. Well, I'm competing against myself. I'm not competing against nobody else. Well, that's why I don't have no problem with it.
Well, back when you kept score by how many were on the tailgate, I know you probably ate a lot of rabbit. Is there any particular way that you think is the most tasty?
Ooh, like my grandma used to make?
Yeah, that's the best answer right there.
Yeah, exactly. My aunt Wanda lives in New Jersey now, and she does it just like that. My mom does too. But you fry it first, and then you make gravy from the drippings in the pan, and then you steam it after that, and make the gravy and let it steam in that gravy. We call it 90-weight gravy where I come from.
That sounds delicious. I'm ready to go.
Man, if you season it up right and you slap that on some rice, man,
that sounds terrific. I'm serious.
It's awesome.
Roderick, I've had the best.
Yep.
I've had the best time talking to you and learning more about you and your hounds and all of your experiences since you got into this sport. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that I should have, or is there anything else you want to talk about or cover or promote?
Yeah, I did come up with something.
Okay.
My kennel name.
Yeah, tell us about your kennel name and how you got that, where it came from.
So I go by Straight Ballin' Beagles, right? And it's STR8, the number 8, BAWLN, Straight Ballin', and then Beagles, and so it's kind of a funny story because it kind of has a country slangish type thing and street slang origin, right? Mm-hmm. But because when you're playing basketball and you balling,
oh, yeah.
you doing it. You know what I mean? You at the top of your game. You having a great day. You balling, whatever. Like that. You working hard at it. And so I translated that to the way I like for my dogs to hunt. I like them to run straight, and I want them to be balling.
Oh,
so I just changed it to BAWLN like that. And the secondary meaning was because I'm from St. Robert, right? So I started with 8 dogs, and it was kind of like the St. Robert 8.
Oh.
But since then, it's just become Straight Ballin' Beagles, and that's how it came about. I loved it. I mean, because it's funny because people like to not say it because they can't say it when we had trials. And, and a couple of people like to make fun, and they do it on purpose. They call it straw balling or straight eight balling.
That's the haters.
Or something,
I think it's super creative. I love it. That's a terrific name and unique. No one else is going to have that. You've done a really good job on it. That's for sure.
Well, I thank you. I try to keep people on their toes, even when I name my dogs. Mm-hmm. I like to have a catchy name on a dog that makes you think about it.
Well, Roderick, one thing that I didn't ask you, and we're kind of wrapping up now. I want to be good with your time. Tebow passed and had a good long life and ran a lot of rabbits, and so every kennel goes through this, and it's not fun most of the time. But I know you have some stuff coming up behind him. What are one or two of the dogs that are coming up that people are going to hear about in the future?
I got some puppies out of his last litter. I don't know how they're going to turn out, but they're out of him, and they're out of a granddaughter of Blitz, and they are like nothing I've ever seen, and so far, and I got another litter just before them that's not out of Tebow, but it's out of my DNA, not DNA, Scholar, Straight Ballin' All Day. Well, it's Miller's. I can't remember the other name, but I call her Straight Ballin' All Day Scholar. That's her name, Straight Ballin' All Day Scholar. But I bred her to Kristen Bundy's Blitz dog, and that would make those puppies grandsons of the original Blitz, and also Trigger.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I got a female coming out of that's pretty hot. And she ain't even 2 yet, and the other ones are just 1. Out of the last litter out of Tebow, they just turned 1 on February 14th. And I ran one in the junior eliminator, and I only saw him really run real good 1 week before that. But he beat everybody else that I had out on the ground. I mean, it was incredible. He scored 2 lions they didn't score, and he was in front most of the time. Mm-hmm. And I cost him the hunt in the eliminator because I struck the wrong dog twice because I was too anxious.
Oh, he's going to fire you or charge you for non-support.
Yeah, he might.
What now that
long as he feeds me, I'm okay.
That's right. What now? You mentioned a female that you were really high on. What's her name?
Straight ball and Russian roulette.
Russian roulette. Okay. I just want to hear these.
I call her Laddie.
Because you said you like to have some really good names, so I knew you would. But I also wanted to get those out there because that'll be the dogs that people will hear about from you in the future.
Well, that dog right there, that's straight ball and Russian roulette, mm-hmm. And the other ones are ones that that's the litter that's 2 years old out of Kristen's Blitz dog, and then I got another set that's out of Tebow, his last litter, and I'm really high on these because my friend Daniel Osborne up at the Gateway Beagle Club up north of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that dog, and his name is Maverick.
Mm-hmm. I
can't remember the whole thing in it right now, but his name is Maverick, and he's tough, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got some video of him, and he's dead on the line. He's fast. He's just as ugly as his daddy. So he ain't gonna win no shows, but he might not. He might not send you home after the first round.
I love it. Thank you, Roderick, for coming on. I really appreciate you sharing your history and sharing so much about yourself and your hounds. I just found it so fascinating, and I know everyone listening will too. And before I let you get out of here, I did want to thank you for your service. Really appreciate what you've done in the Army. Really appreciate your service.
Thank you very much, Sam. I appreciate that.
Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough. And remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when we have new content available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.